Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how does he know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, there were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage podcast. My name is Jen, and we have Danny Guru again. Hey, Dan.
Dan. Good to see you.
It's good to see you, too. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Wonderful.
I did a lot of work behind the scenes today.
Oh, I know you did. And we got a really good show tonight doing Bill Gates.
Yep.
But before we dive into that, guys, you know exactly what to do. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the channel. I am so excited to report that we keep getting all these alerts of all these views going through. Dan actually did a session with somebody who found us on YouTube.
Finally.
Which is great. We're getting the word out there, and we're doing it with your help. So with that said, please make sure that you like and subscribe and follow the channel. And if you haven't already, please make sure to catch last week's show, which was really interesting on Obama. And I cannot wait to see what comes out in today's show with Bill Gates.
I think we have a pretty good idea what's going to come out with Bill Gates.
Yeah, we do. But
I was capturing it and I was going through piles of footage, and after watching enough of it, I started putting captions on top of the little video montage I put together. So, yeah, this is Bill Gates, Sir William Gates. So he's this 4-6 profile. I want to start there because between that and the Sun Earths that he has in his body graph, Bill Gates must care deeply about his thing, whatever it is. And the thing is, he's going to learn what to care about in his childhood. He's going to learn how to care. He's going to be fully conditioned by his parents. Look at these open centers. So his mom and dad will have told him what to think. Completely open head center. Doesn't know what to think and thinks that that's a problem. So when someone fills it up, boom, Bill's gone. So all we need to really know, not all, but one of the main things is, who is Bill Gates's mom and dad and how did he grow up? So as soon as we know that, we're going to know for absolute certain Bill Gates. Now, Jen, you and I have a defined head center. So the people where we grew up, how to think, well, we're going to ditch that because our mind is constantly on being confused until it's clear. You know, it's perfect for us.
yes.
So we're doing a lot of work for the totality. Everyone does their work for the totality. And if Bill Gates were an awakened man, he'd be doing his work for the totality too. He's got a lot of beautiful lines, but the problem with beauty is, in a way, the prettier it is and the nicer the keynote and the nicer the attribute seems to sound, in a lot of ways, the more vile it can be when it turns in upon itself and becomes its not self-theme. It's old, 7-centered, draconian, hierarchical, not self-way. And Bill obviously fell into that. I mean, he fell into that head first. So open head does not know what to think. So his mom and dad filled that up for him just fine. So we just need to go to them, find out what's happening. And then when Bill Gates had to decide what was he going to love, look, he's got an open G center.
Yep.
So
he was told.
So he was physically, so when he wasn't sure what to think, he was told what to think and how he would be loved. Essentially, he would cling to whatever it was that gave him a sense of direction, that gave him a sense of what he's now thinking could be put in a direction so that he could think he thinks he loves himself. Thing is, this gate 40, the two gates that are his Sun Earth, 28 and 27, see that in the top right?
28 and 20. Yes, over here.
Yes. And that
Versus
cross
nine.
that says the right angle cross of the unexpected.
Yes,
Well,
the incarnation cross, guys. Can you give an example or let our viewers know exactly what the incarnation cross tells?
Absolutely. So the profile tells us the costume we'll wear. I'm wearing my KISS t-shirt. So that's what I'm wearing today. And so we wear our profile sort of, it broadcasts in front of us. It's a big part of what people see right away. And then the cross, the incarnation cross, ends up becoming basically the purpose of the life, the mythos. A person living out their design can take this incarnation cross and turn it into their mythology, period. And it becomes their mythology. There's nothing when they're really living out their design, they can't even go back. In other words, they'll give up opportunities before going back. So Bill Gates falls into the unexpected. Unexpected stuff happens to Bill Gates as he struggles for a purpose, and that purpose has to be what he cares about. And gate 31, I'm reading across, and gate 31, so then that purpose is going to cling to a feeling. That purpose is going to want to, drive leadership out into the world. He's going to want to lead. Unexpectedly, he's going to want to lead. But he gets very confused about that leadership because he doesn't know what to think. And that leadership is in a first line.
I was just going to say that. So he literally is, he's having that pull to lead, but yet he doesn't know what to do because he needs somebody to tell him.
Well, at this point in time, he's probably telling himself, don't forget. So he was, he's telling himself plenty of things by now through experience, but they're all the things that they're not self-learned. And he still doesn't know what to think the second it's like remotely new. You can see it all over the place on the questioning that I plugged up here. So in the moment, he does not know what to think with each new thing. He knows how to reestablish the old stuff. As soon as it's old news, he knows how to reestablish it. And coincidentally and correctly, as soon as those moments come up where he is himself, that he can establish, he doesn't need to think about. He can establish that no sweat. There is an example where Bill is being himself in this clip that I put together. It's actually really, it's really sweet. Too bad, he's too bad. He's like one of the planet's top 20 bogeymen. So,
yes,
sleep with one eye open, people. Both
I love it.
With both eyes open. So
people just need to get their eyes open.
Yes. So this unexpected leadership comes out of this intermittent drive that Bill has. It's a fantasy. Bill was always fantasizing on and off and having this hunger, this desire to possess a feeling, a hunger to reach some kind of climax. It's all kinds. Put climax, whatever term you want, but to achieve a thing that he could experience. And look at where that gate 41 is in his body graph. It's down at the very bottom. It's unconscious. It's in an open center. So Bill is under pressure to get rid of the pressure. He's always in a hurry to get rid of the pressure. Yes. And in that hurry to get rid of this, that's the not self of an open root. In that hurry to get rid of a pressure, next thing you know, that gate 41 says, I hunger for an experience. I'm hungry. Give it to me. I'm hungry. I want it. And it doesn't really know what it wants. There's no gate 30 on the other end. So it hungers. Just picture a wanton hunger. Picture this gate like a rabid dog. It doesn't know. It's rabid. It's rabid hunger. And it's in an open center, so it only gets turned on when someone comes into his aura who lights that up. So
someone who would have the opposite gate.
The opposite gate, or maybe they have the route defined. Any channel that defines it, including that same channel. It's entirely possible someone in his family growing up had that very same channel, and then they compromised his hunger and turned his hunger into their hunger. We don't know without his family. That's what compromise does.
Do we know much on his family?
No.
I don't know much on his family.
No. And by the way, I dialed back and forth with the time, and he stays this profile pretty much the whole time. So I'm not really going to worry about what gates are missing, so to speak, Some
Right.
things may have changed. So I got to give that caveat. And so we have you at 10:01 p.m., Bill, if you want to call in and let us know what the real time is. I'll be glad to have you. And we'll have a very candid conversation, Bill. It'll be difficult for you. So just text the time. It'll be a lot easier for you, because I don't want to get under your skin on national TV and have you cry. So
Make them cry, Dan.
no, it's whatever. So, okay, I will. So, and then that open ego. So terrible pressure. He's just always under pressure. As soon as there's pressure on him, there's pressure back for him to get rid of that pressure. He's in a hurry to get rid of that pressure. The most expedient thing possible. And then that open ego center above that. I don't know if you see that up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here.
Right there. So one gate coming off of it, gate 26. And that gate 26 for him is, let me find it there. Where are you? Oh, 26. He's living that out now. It's the north node of his life. So he's been in this 26 phase for a long time. It's the natural, that 26, that just naturally comes out with tricky stuff to say. It's the trickster. And the thing is, it's about manipulation. It's about the ability to manipulate memory, literally. That's what it is.
Repeat that again.
It's the ability to manipulate memory. We call that lying, by the way. That's what we call it, because you've manipulated.
That would be the black and white terminology. Would be lying.
Would be lying. That would be but the real way to look at it is the manipulation of memory, and it's tribal. Now, there's nothing bad in a body graph. That's in the tribal circuitry. The spleen, the awareness of the spleen is there to keep us safe. Excuse me. It's there to keep us safe and alive. And gate 44 would be the fear of the past. So this would be, if had the whole channel been there, the splenic awareness of how not to let your tribe die out. Because in the past, tribes die out. It's the splenic fear to actually be afraid of 44 off the spleen, which he doesn't have. What does that say? I got a question. Arcseed.
Yes, open gates for gates of hell. This can't be coincidence. The ability to manipulate memory, i.e. lying. Crazy.
Arcseed, you rock. Yeah, no, it's not a coincidence. There are no coincidences.
No coincidence.
And in another world, if we were in Star Trek in an alternate universe or something like this, Bill Gates would be a saint. I mean, he would be Mother Teresa.
Really? You think that in Star Trek?
Well, I'm just saying because I use Star Trek because I'm a Trek fan, but it's just they always had an alternate universe, or they had two gyms, the good gym and the bad gym, or whatever, stuff like that.
He would be on his own planet. Yes, I agree. And whatever entity is running him at the moment probably is.
Bill as his correct self is a saint. Bill as his not self is what's the opposite of a saint. That's the thing.
And right now he's acting out as not self.
Yeah, just so fully. And the thing is, guys, we all do this, but we don't all have the ability to influence the world with trillions of dollars, billions of whatever that market cap is on him. So when we act out on that self, we see it and we struggle with it, and we have to work a job, and we have to get up every day, and then we have to commune with people, and then the people we commune with have to agree with us or not, or we have to agree with them, and then we have to compromise. And think of all this, what I'm referring to. I'm referring to living a life that has other people in it that you've got to live with, right? So Bill doesn't have that opportunity. He just doesn't have that opportunity. He controls all the things that he does because he's got so much money. So in that way, the not self can live and thrive inside of him. But it doesn't mean parts of him aren't awake. As with everybody, we humans are wicked smart little creatures. We know a ton about ourselves. We're just never really certain about all of this stuff. Along comes human design. It gives us a strategy and authority. It tells us our type. And suddenly we can actually awaken to our nature. Go ahead.
I like his comment, Arcseed. I would have to agree with you. It's also not surprising that he has these open gates, making him more susceptible for the entities to enter and control him. Put that control with his ultimate wealth, he's a deadly weapon. And if he's been programmed by his parents or didn't know what to think throughout his life, or he was waiting for someone to tell him what to do.
Yep. And it's not so much like waiting, like standing like a dog waiting for a treat. He would have walked through the aura And then he would have experienced that and walked off into the garage and played with his toys, thinking that those were his own thoughts only. No, it's always a mixture, and we put ourselves into the other. So he could have just walked through the kitchen, and Mom could have given him a pretzel, and suddenly now Bill has a new thought. Mom was just trying to bake a pretzel, but Bill walked out and made Microsoft.
I have seen that happen in my own experience. So interesting that you say that.
Yeah, you've seen yourself put thoughts into others.
Absolutely, with the manifester.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like with my coaches, I invested a lot of money in my business, in certain different business coaches. And then in the middle of the programs, I started to realize that I would say something and then they would turn around and do it. And then I was like, why the hell am I paying a business coach if they're taking my ideas?
You were putting those ideas into them. In communion, we would know this. So let's say I have an open head and Jen just puts an idea in my head and I go running off and I feel called into that thing. And I'm a generator and then suddenly I'm generating and I'm satisfied. I might notice a few hours later, wait a second, Jennifer put that idea in my head. I'm no longer going to have a chip on my shoulder like what's she doing to me. I'm just going to be like, yay. And I'm glad I didn't even notice, or maybe I would notice right away. I'd be like, oh my God, she's put that thought in my head. And then I would run off with it the same, or I would discount it because maybe I didn't like it. It wouldn't matter what it was. It's not personal. Now you're not mad at me. I'm not wondering if I'm insecure because do I have my own, I'm thinking about too many things and I'm thinking about things that don't matter and trying to answer all the questions and not really recognizing what's the scoop. So when he was thinking about too many things, those things were things that were put into him, too many things put into him by the world around him. So that would have been mom and dad, any siblings he had, work, job, society, all of it. Wasn't his dad involved in that eugenics program?
I think so.
He was. He was in those pictures with those guys a couple of times, right in that eugenics building before they renamed it back in the early 1900s because eugenics and killing off populations didn't sound so sexy. I think they recoined it to, branding happiness or something in the world. Changing the world for a better place.
Well, he's been around that for a lot. I have to still find that TEDx video, but he's,
I saw it.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that. He's still him. That's just Bill. Bill's not them. Mm-hmm. Bill's not self except for moments of Bill's self. That's the thing. So it's real easy to be seen as authentic if you have moments where you're truly yourself. Even if it's only for a moment, and then the 3 minutes on either side of that, you're back to being awful again. It can still, you can take that moment, plant your feet, and suddenly you're yourself for a moment, saying something. We know that as, wow, the person did believe that thing they just said. That's what we see it as. But look at it, the open ego center. Now, so he's under pressure. And that open ego with that gate 26 is just trying to prove itself. What's he trying to prove? He's trying to prove that he can get away with it. That's what he's trying to prove. He can manipulate the memory and get away with it.
He's doing that now. Like he's
right. Now that's who he's not because he doesn't feel worthy unless he can prove it. So if all the disease on the planet went away and then everyone started dancing, Bill's not self would start to cry. He would be very unhappy about all of that.
Then that's what the collective needs to get to doing.
Well, I'm just saying, so he would be sad about that. Now you're smiling. What did you just read?
Nothing. I'm just like, the more that I learn about the man, the more that I am just like, he's got his hands in everything.
Yep.
Everything. And that's not good. And everything that you are uncovering, it's concerning. So people need to wake up. You said it. You just said what would make him cry, what would make him disappointed. Everyone has to do that.
Right. Oh, so then this sounds just so mean, but let's make him cry so we can be happy. He'll get over it is the thing. We'll wake him up. Say it's only for the afternoon, and then I'll go read for him, and then suddenly he'll feel loved again. So let me keynote this and that. So proving you're worthy, concerning myself with my worth. Oh yeah, well I'll make this work. I'll prove that this can work. You know what? That didn't go that way. It goes this way, but I'll just say it's true because it's for everyone's good. It's tribal. Sometimes we have to tribally say things and manipulate the memory, quote, lie, to actually say what's for the good of the tribe. You know, you can think of 1,000 examples where the tribal people had to, and what we really call this is exaggerating. Gate 26 is the trickster. It'll exaggerate. It's the salesman. And sometimes that exaggeration is needed. We've got, hey, dude, I smell a little smoke. The house might be on fire. Okay. So someone maybe finishes playing their game out. And then we have, oh my God, I smell tons of smoke and I can feel the heat. We're definitely on fire. One might be exaggerated because you can't feel the heat yet, but you smelled the smoke and your intuition said there is fire. So you add it in, you feel the heat. Now that's for everyone in the house's own good. Suddenly they're busting their ass to get out the door. Good thing, save their life. So we can't, you know, now they're not consciously necessarily thinking that so fast that they're liars. That's not it. It's just an ego trickster that wants to roar out its proof that it was the thing that got the thing done, like got everyone out of the burning house. In Bill's case, he likes to try to prove, which he thinks he likes to try to prove, that he can manipulate the memory to anything and get anything through Congress and make anything pass. And everyone's going to listen to him. That's not why everyone listens to him. That's part of why they listen to him, because they've been tricked by the trickster, but it's in an open center. So it's only intermittent. He's always caught with his pants down, unable to be tricky. Those are the moments when he's just opening his mouth, not tricky. You know, and then he beats himself up for it. And we've seen it over and over. Bill's in hot water. Oh, Bill took it back. Oh, Bill's back in hot water. Well, Bill took it back. You know, and it's like, so unexpected things happen to Bill, you know, and it's because he does care about something and he gets grounded by it giving him purpose. So what he cares about comes driving in. The purpose of what he wants. It's like he feels, I need to find this purpose. This energy of purpose finding drives into him, and it gets grounded in the stuff he cares about, gate 27. And it's in a fourth line, so that's an externalizer. It's a keynote. The fourth line, couple keynotes, friendliness. It wants to network. It wants to be influential more than anything. It's an externalizer, meaning it has to tell its truth. It has to keep talking, and it's fixedness. The fixed externalizing influencer. Externalizing just means I have to keep saying it. So here's a man who wants to externalize his purpose about what he cares about. Well, that's not too hard to read out. Doesn't take rocket science to read just that 28 and 27 in his body graph. And then unconsciously he's conditioned by the desire to lead. And that leadership he's not even sure about that leadership. He's totally unsure about it, but it's still there. And then 41, the hunger for the new experience, the hunger to satiate whatever the experience is. So here's an externalizer who has to externalize the purpose of what he cares about because he's with trial and error over the hunger of how he's going to lead something into the future. What's he going to lead? I don't know. His mom and dad put it in him because the not self of Bill Gates is those open centers. It's not knowing what to think about and having too many things come in, confusing him about the love and direction he's in. So, oh yeah, well, I'll prove it. I'll manipulate memory and say it this way. And I'm under pressure to get all that stuff out so I can have my feeling. But if somebody comes up against me, my open solar plex is going to avoid the confrontation. I'm going to avoid the confrontation in truth. In fact, I'm going to avoid it hard. You watch, I'll avoid the crap out of that.
Did you happen to compare his wife's chart?
I don't have it. I didn't really look. I can promise you she filled in these centers.
I'm pretty sure he left one family or had that environment and went right into marrying somebody that would remind him.
Well, Melinda would have tickled his fancy. Melinda would have probably given him that defined solar plex and made him feel warm and yummy. She probably would have. She definitely gave him a G center. I bet $100 on that one. So he could feel a love and a direction. And then, and so he would know what to care about. And she would have endlessly listened to what he's externalizing. Their relationship would have been Bill Gates externalizing his next new idea. I mean, he's a real believer. Look at his nodes. He's got 11-4 and 12-4. they resonate so deeply with his fourth line personality. So unconsciously, the 11-4 and the 12-4 are the gurus and the prophets that are here to teach and stimulate others to all the ideas that pour through. So every idea that Bill has pouring through thinking about things that don't matter, he wants to stimulate the rest of the world on all of that. And as soon as he latches onto it, he becomes fixedness on what he'll externalize. I've got a fourth line in my profile. I've got a lot of fixedness. You know, you can just ask my family 13 and 14 years ago when I first found human design and wouldn't shut up. Fixed. And in that, we become influential over time. Hey, that person's got a real fixed trip, man. And maybe they're onto something. So now everyone goes to Bill Gates because he managed to reasonably stimulate the whole planet about things that he can express as a story and something that's a good idea. But none of those are his original. That's not his original self doing any of that. And he's stimulated the planet in a reasonably large manner. So you can't say he doesn't like his influence. We fourth lines, we want our fixed trip to be externalized so that we can, in our network, ultimately become influential. It's the opportunity to become influential. Bill Gates is an opportunist. Foreplay for him starts the minute he shakes someone's hand. That's Bill.
Didn't mean to remove it. Savannah's chiming in behind the scenes. She says he has more feminine side filled than the right masculine side of the chart where it's super open.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Sometimes I reverse those two things. But yeah, so I forgot to point that out. So Bill Gates doesn't have a lot of feelings. His emotional center is wide open. So like the head that doesn't know what to think, the totally open emotional center, solar plex on the far right, doesn't know what to feel. People install feelings in him all the time. He's now a hodgepodge of a lifetime, 60 years almost, worth of feelings. So, I mean, he's got lots of feelings. It's just that these are feelings that were conditioned into him.
Right. They're not even his feelings.
They're not his feelings. That sounds sort of empty to say. They're his later. I mean, once he incorporates them, they're his openness to those feelings. Where we are undefined is simply where we're open. So he's open to all the ways that can feel. The beauty here would be he could become aware of all the ways to feel. But his fourth line fixedness says, no, I'm fixed on just the purpose that I want to fulfill in the world. And listen to this 28th gate in him. See gate 28 in the sun. This is what's driving force into his 27 that's grounded in him. Now, this is genetic, guys. He can't help this. This is baked into his program. Holding on, the ability through whatever means to keep one's grip on power and the knowledge to exploit opportunities, sometimes for the greater good. So, or not. There's always, so he's exploiting opportunities, but is it for the greater good? I don't know, because he doesn't know what he's thinking. I don't know. He doesn't know what to feel. I don't know. He's a tricky little bastard trying to prove he can prove it. I don't know. He's chasing love and direction. So his love has to be in a direction that he thinks it's supposed to be in, or else he's under a lot of pressure.
Savannah says gate 28 fears life has no purpose.
Yes, it sure does. And that's the last thing in the world he wants, because that's in his sun. So in order to make sure purpose gets driven into him, he's going to try to find a depth to struggle that places a value in others, or the depth to struggle that devalues the other for his own gain. And he won't even know he won't even know that that's the binary he's going through. I'm going to tuition that stubbornly, selfishly in its capacity to hold on. Stubbornly for his own gain.
So he's not going to do very well when shit hits the fan, like if he loses power, is he?
Well, my guess is he'd be in Nuremberg. But if he escapes Nuremberg, he'll actually network once again. It'll only take one person that cares about him to actually help him get back on track and get back on his feet as a real person, and not, whatever he is now. I mean, the not self that he is now. It's really awful what happened, because this guy could have been really something else. Mother Teresa has the same channel of caring that he has. off the sacral. This is the one channel that defines his authority.
Savannah had wrote that, the 5027.
Yeah. Yeah. This is all about nurture. It's called the channel of preservation, where a deep set of values is trying to preserve the whole tribal structure.
Interesting you say her, because I have heard some not so nice things about her.
Who? Mother Teresa?
Mother Teresa.
Well, I'm just going with the archetype of what we look at it as. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but what was playing in my head is that you're really describing somebody who was conditioned
Yes.
to be whatever they wanted him to be.
A monster.
Arc Seed hit on it. Mother Teresa trafficked children. Yeah. Yeah. So that wow, that would tell me that they would know. They know their design, and then it came through, and they found somebody that they could completely.
They wouldn't have known this when Bill was born. They wouldn't have known this when Bill was even going through his Microsoft stage. I mean, maybe someone would have known it by then, or caught on to some of this information. I guess they could have. But it takes people so long to absorb this information. You know what I'm saying? But then again, somebody could have done it. It absolutely could be done. So let me read his go up to his head center.
Okay.
See, the ajna, the green ajna. There's a gate of particular interest here that really resonated, and it's he gets stuck with it all the time. Remember, we always want the gate on the other end. Always. This is the genetic imperative, to try and get to the gate on the other end of whatever gate you have. As soon as you become aware of that, you stop doing that just as a matter of course, and you start doing it selectively according to your responsive nature, or according to your design, according to your spleen, whatever it is that's your authority. But when you're unaware of that, you just go after it. We want what we're not. So he's not a gate 23 that can perfectly explain himself ever. So, but he is a gate 43 in a defined head center. And that gate 43 you're going to love this. I have this gate 43. It served me so well. Expediency, the quickest and fastest way. Expediency, trial and error process of just doing it fast. The potential for the power and drive to recognize that when breakthrough is threatened, it will use any means necessary to align with the forces that endure any condemnation that could come his way to achieve his goal. He will literally absorb and withstand anything anybody says to achieve his goal, so that he can explain why everyone needs a shot in every arm. So he'll do anything to explain that. He'll go on any show. He'll say anything, even when he gets caught with his pants down over and over. Why does he freaking do that? He can't help it. He's an externalizing. He wants to externalize his purpose onto the world to show that he cares.
Mm-hmm.
And technically speaking, from a collective point of view, the collective rules Bill's life. Look between the head and the ajna center. See that 1156?
Yep.
It's unconscious. He doesn't know. This is a gate of being stimulated and having ideas. This is a channel of curiosity. It's always curious. It's got ideas, and it wants to stimulate the rest of the planet with them because it's collective. So it wants to share that. Bill is always trying to share his next new devious little idea.
Yes, and everything. Like he's buying up farmland now. Why?
So he can share his misery of foodlessness to everybody. Yes.
Well, not only that, but like even he's got his hands in everything.
Right. It's totally true. Yet that tribal nature in him, which is supposed to really protect the tribe through preservation. Look at it. Preservation is there to preserve the children. Period. It's there to preserve everything. And so, but add or not to that. So the not self of that is or not. So what does he do? He goes to Africa and tests deadly shit on kids.
I know.
Yeah, he's done that. His companies, they did that. And we don't see that on the news. Why don't they share that, bastards? Anyways, so this channel of curiosity is collective, and it sort of rules him. The sacral is supposed to rule him, right, Jennifer? He's supposed to be a responsive madman, spleen to sacral, immediate intuitive awareness of what is good or not good as a response. That's an immediate responsive nature. Don't like it. No, I don't want to kill kids. What are you doing? That vaccine's stupid. It's going to hurt people. That would be what would come out of there if you were a 4-year-old. Well, depending on how young they got to him, but that got wiped out of him, and suddenly, look at it's totally cut off from his nature. His head center, as his ajna on his throat, that which speaks the most, is totally cut off from his nature. And look at all those voices pointing at or to the head center, to that throat center. The throat center is the busiest place in his body graph, in a way.
Yeah, it is.
It's wicked busy because wherever there isn't a gate, there's another gate pointing at it. And that's every gate except 35.
Yep,
So,
I was just about to say that.
Yes. So 10 out of 11 gates of the throat center have a pressure on them. And the biggest pressure are the 2 gates that would connect it. So 57 and 48 off the top of the spleen, he's insecure about his depth. It's a trial and error process for him until he finally figures out what is his real depth. And how can he figure out that real depth? He can't. That's not something he figures out. That's something he becomes through the living out of his purpose, as grounded by what he cares for. So his caring went way off track a long time ago, obviously. And so gate 48 is stretching up to the throat. Look at it. It looks, that's such a long distance, Jen. Picture it as like the longest mile. He's just reaching across that crevice, trying to get from 48 off the top of the spleen up to gate 16.
Yep, right here.
Yes. It's the gate of enthusiasm, the gate of skills that become identified. Bill has a hard time becoming identified with what the hell he's up to. So his depth has to keep growing and growing. He feels so insecure because he doesn't know if he has the skills. What does he do? He's an externalizer. So he surrounds himself with a bunch of people that know a bunch of stuff. And my guess is all the Microsoft stuff all came from one invention from him, and someone else basically fleshed out all the rest of it. The same thing with what he's doing with his foundations. So he's just always terribly insecure about his own depth. And gate 57 wants to get to gate 20. So Bill Gates is always nervous when he can't be now. He tries to be his now self, and in doing so, he always ends up blundering.
I saw some of the clips you picked. They were epic.
Yeah. Savannah, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I noticed he has 5 of the 7 gates attached to the spleen, and one that's red is fear of failure, right?
Oh, God. Yes, thank you.
And then,
he's afraid of that.
sorry, go. You go.
No, he's afraid of failure. Bring up the next one.
And then I noticed that he has hanging gate 17, which that's the gate of opinions, right? And so he always feels pressure to share his logical opinions.
Yes, but
right.
What's not there, Savannah?
Oh, the other side, right? So the gate 62.
It's about details that are explained. It's a metamorphic process where all those opinions get explained and turned into speech that then is loaded down with all the details. So that what the opinion has is backed up by details. So Bill's opinions aren't backed up by details. And it shows out in the way he speaks. It's comical if it weren't so tragic. So
I'm kind of surprised that he has that nurturing channel, the 5027. That's supposed to be like an altruistic channel where they're just very like loving and giving and have all these morals. But it's like, to me, I'm like, he's not doing that. Like, he's pretty shady guy. Like, he's gotten caught doing lots of really not very ethical, moral things. So that totally shocks me and surprises me. Is there anything in that channel, is that the low expression of that channel?
Well, don't forget, every channel can be, the not self will turn your life forces in on you. It'll turn them into what they're not supposed to be. I'm on the cross of the vessel of love. I could easily have turned into Hitler and been the vessel of hate, right? It's who knows what, it's or not is always there, because we live this duality, this binary of who we are and who we're not. And we're just trying to get certain on all that. And that's why everyone's got to enter the experiment of learning your strategy and your authority. Know your type. Get in that experiment. You're right.
doesn't he have that leadership gate? I believe it's gate
31.
31. It's hanging though, so he probably feels this pressure to want to be the leader.
Yeah, but it's in a first line. I mean, of the two gates, there's a 31 and it's on either side. So 31 is in the 6th line on one side, and on the other side, it's unusualness of how he's going to learn to lead is in the first gate. So that unusualness is just an investigator. He's more concerned with trying to investigate what is leadership, you know, and he would have had a trial and error process of what is leadership his whole first 30 years of his life, because he's a 4-6 profile. So that 4-6 profile is a real big deal. Jennifer, were you able to queue up just the audio?
I do. I think I can. I may have to
let it play all the way through if you can. I know it might be loud, guys. We tried playing it and it was a little
hold
bit.
on.
But we'll see if it.
Arcseed said one thing. I'm going to pop that up on the screen, and then I'm going to get this set up for you. Love the explanation of the gates and what they mean, Savannah. Thank you. So accurate here.
Savannah, you will always have fans, my love.
You know, the 4-6 operating as a 4-3, you can see right away what happens. They befriend the wrong people. They then continue to network with the wrong people. Out of the wrong people comes the opportunity, and out of that opportunity comes the wrong influence that they try to put out. And of course, it's very, very easy for them in that sense to really go astray.
Could you hear that, guys?
I heard it.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's talking about the 4-6 profile, because the first 30 years of a 4-6 profile are spent as a 4-3. That first 30 years, a little under 28 and a half years of the 6th line is spent as a 3rd line. It's there, so you see that 4-6 profile at the top, and on his body graph, the 4 and the 6 on the left and the right, right and the left. So the 6th line unconscious in him is a trial and errorist for the first 3 years. And, you know, just look at his Microsoft products. Before he was age of 30, he tried if you want to see what trial and error at work, you know, be owning the first computers back, Windows 95, you know, oops, bug, didn't work, fix it, patch, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, until he finally figures out how to globally dominate the whole internet exchange of everything. So he's always been after the influence of all of that. In the beginning, it was trial and error. And you can really go astray because the 4th line externalizes to become influential. He's always ever wanted influence. It's in his incarnation cross, influence. It's in his the pressure in his open root, pressuring him to be of influence. It's in the open head center, not knowing what to think. I need more influence. If I have more influence, I'll be under less pressure. If I have more influence, people will love me. I won't have to prove so much. There will be no conflicts, and I'll be under no pressure to know what to think or to do stuff. That's the not self of Bill Gates. If only he has more influence. This man will never stop looking for influence until he is stopped. He will never stop until he is stopped. You know.
And then he'll cry.
And then he'll cry. And then I'll be there to pick him up if he cries. You know, as long as I can break through. But yes, Savannah, that channel of nurturing, this channel of preservation is supposed to want to preserve things. It's tribal. It has this cauldron of its splenic values. The spleen is Gate 50 is so aware of the values that are needed to be imparted into the tribe. And it's given power and sustained energy from the sacral, Gate 27, which is the gate of nurture and caring. It has no awareness. It has energy to respond to what the spleen says is the right call for nurture. And that nurture is rooted in the tribal circuitry. It's all about loyalty to the tribe. He's supposed to be loyal to the human tribe. And then now comes or not. The channel of preservation or not. The channel of killing everything. You know, that all these channels can turn inward on ourselves, just like the open centers make us be our not self. It's a real drag until you wake people up to their nature, and then give them a break and pat them on the back and make sure they laugh at the stuff that they notice. You got to laugh at who you're not when you see it. You know, Savannah, you and I were laughing our ass off the other day about something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Oh, I'm also curious to know what his north node gates are. I can't see it. It's too small on there. Can you go over those, Dan?
I can try in a minute. Yep.
There's a quick question. ArcC said, if that gate that is responsible for nurturing is activated by another gate operating from a not self, could that mean he wants to nurture the agenda?
No, ArcC, good question. Because it's a steady life force in his body, he is the nurturer. What he's nurturing is he is the nurturer of the agenda. No one's
nurturer of the agenda.
He is the nurturer of his not self is the nurturer of the agenda. Others are nurturing the agenda, but Bill Gates is definitely nurturing the agenda. It's right here in his body graph. Whatever he lays his hands on, he's going to try and nurture it and help it. He's going to want to get into it to get a purpose out of things. But his not self cuts him off totally from his sacral. Look at that sacral. It's all alone by itself, way down there below the busyness of the throat. That throat consumes him. That gate 45 off the throat is possessive. Bill Gates has to possess things. It's a voice that says, I have or I don't have. I have all the money. I have all the power. I have all the influence. What's it want to possess? It wants to possess all the influence, to articulate out exactly what his nodes 11.4 and 12.4 want to do. They want to act like a prophet and teach the world what is it that he can have dominion over. What is it that he can have control over? Well, really dominion over as the possessive gate 45. He wants to have it. I want it. You got that gate of hunger that he's got down below in his root center, and he's hungry to have the influence that his breakthrough will suffer any condemnation in the now in order to achieve. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play some messed up Bill Gates video. Unless you got a question. You got a question, Savannah?
You were going to go over the nodes.
Oh, yes. I noticed that 45, it's hanging and it's black. So he's consciously aware that he wants to control.
Consciously aware that he wants that influence, and he's consciously aware of that he wants the influence. You know, it's in his Sun Earth. So he's aware. That's why he's always shaking his greedy little hands each time something's going on. That's why, listen, when you can't hide your smile, that's because the real you is showing up. But in most cases, it's the real not self of you mixed in with the real you. And it's so confused. Talk about conflating things. The self and the not self are the original conflation. We invented the word conflation and conflating things because of these two phenomena in our life. We just didn't know that's why we did it. But, you know, that's what's there. Let's play this Bill Gates video. And did you see I put a little pause spot?
I did.
Okay, so pause. Try to catch it if you can. Pause that.
Do all of the non-Microsoft browsers that you're aware of compete with Internet Explorer?
Did you see the graphic I had under there?
I did.
I forgot exactly what it says, but that's the look of someone when they're completely cut off from their sacral responsive truth. This is a sacral generator. No motion, no ego, no root. The only thing that gives him his truth is his spleen to his sacral. So his truth is a response. The guy asked him a question, and what did he do? His eyes blank out, and he's going all through. His mind is curiously working at what he can stimulatingly say.
Was it a yes or no question?
That was a yes or no question. That's why I played it. Do you think that other browsers, blah, 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 whatever the browsers he named off, are in competition with you?
Mm-hmm.
They asked him, do you think?
They didn't say anything.
Well, not, but these were the keywords. They asked him, do you think? And the thing is, like Savannah pointed out, the Gate 17 wants to think up opinions, but Gate 62 is not there. So he was staring off into the world like there's too many details for me to think about. And I certainly don't have all the details. And I better come up with a stimulating lie and trick people into thinking I think what I'm saying is true.
Dan, weren't you saying that generators, like, they have a harder time lying because
All
they
day
have that
long.
sacral yes/no
Yeah.
response, and so sometimes they're bad at lying?
They're great for being bad at lying. Absolutely. You want to catch a sacral, you just ask them a sudden yes/no question in the moment and watch them delay. And suddenly, it doesn't turn them into a bold-faced liar, guys. Let's get a big distinction. There's the bold-faced liar, and then there's the not self-uncertainty, which it's not their fault. So you got to cut your generators a break all the time. You know, if you're a spouse and you ask your other spouse and they're a generator, but honey, do you love me? And suddenly they stall for a second. Well, that you shouldn't have asked. A, don't ask a question you don't want the answer to. And B, they don't not love you. Their not self is getting in the way. Please, understand that delay is literally just there because they're confused for whatever their open centers are. You've got to remember the individual, Jen. We're liberating the individual. This is a conspiracy to awaken. Sometimes
conspiracy to awaken.
Yes. And as we conspire to awaken, we must realize that at times the individual doesn't know. So 2 people been together 20 years and someone says, do you love me? And they're like, if they're being honest in that very moment, the answer might be, yeah, mostly. That doesn't sound very romantic. Yeah, totally, mostly. That's a good generated answer, because they're not sure in that moment. Their head was someplace else. 2 seconds later, their life's in danger, and they love them so much they're going to risk their own life for them. So
yes,
please put it in perspective. That generative response is there to give the truth in the moment, and that's why generators have such a hard time lying. I mean, they have to polish it. They actually have to try. So Bill Gates has had a trial and error whole lifetime of figuring out how to lie. Like a little trickster that he's not. He's not even the trickster. It's in an open ego. It's an undefined channel. He's got nothing to prove. So he spends his whole life trying to prove it. He's trying to prove he can save the world. No, you can save about 1 billion people by killing 6. That's what you're thinking, Bill. Freaking monster. So the next one is him sort of being a little bit of his fourth line personality.
This week, the divorce was finalized. Just on a personal level, how are you doing?
It's definitely a very sad milestone. Melinda's a great person, and that partnership that we had coming to an end is a source of great personal sadness.
He still is struggling.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
He's still struggling. So, but that was getting closer. It's like if we were playing Marco Polo, it'd be like, Bill, you're getting warmer. You're getting warmer, because in the very beginning, Susie asked the question. It was like, that's true. It is difficult. If you're a fourth line person, you're used to things being fixed in a certain way. You lose your mate, and it's like he's not going to find another mate very easily. If you're a fourth line person anywhere in your profile, leaving one thing without having another in place is very difficult because you've had a fixed trip with that thing the whole time. To suddenly retool is not easy. So my guess is Bill has no girlfriend at this point, and he doesn't know about all of that. Doesn't mean he doesn't have other things that he's doing, but
right.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden, Anderson Cooper throws him another form of a softball in the next one where it's along these same lines. And he's finally able to be the externalizer. The bonding strategy of the fourth line is confidant or not, friendliness or not. The resonance of it is kindness or meanness. To be influential and gain a network of people, you have to be kind and you have to have friendliness in order to network, or you're going to turn everyone off. Now that's correct for him. You abdicate. Yeah, I know we broke up, but I still want to be friends. They always still want to be friends. Now, a lot of people after they broke up wouldn't have anything to do with the same foundation. But listen to what he says. And this is the most fluent he got. I watched this whole thing and many other things. This is about as fluent as he got.
Melinda has incredible strengths that she brings that help the foundation be better. We always enjoyed our work together. 2 of us can go out and work with leaders and help build the organization. So, that would be definitely the best thing for the foundation.
Did you notice that came off rather easily? He wasn't lying. That was true. You see how the self and the not self are conflated? he gets a question that he can answer, and suddenly out comes essentially Bill.
He doesn't pause.
He doesn't pause. It's not hard for him because he knows, I don't want to hate this person. I hate your guts, but I don't want to hate you or whatever. And it tries to keep its network alive. And he'll go through anything to keep his network going, whatever that network is, to any means. Now he starts to go a little off the rails here on this next one.
Can you explain your relationship with Epstein? Did you have any concerns? Was there ever any concerns you had about it?
Oh, certainly.
Go back. Can you go back to the pause part?
I had several dinners with.
Yeah.
Can you explain?
You want me to pause it?
Well, go back to right at where it says pause, because it's so sharp that you need to hear Anderson Cooper's question. He's talking about his relationship with the guy at Pedophile Island there.
Can you explain your relationship with Epstein? Did you have any concerns? Was there ever any concerns you had about it?
Oh, certainly. I had several dinners with him, hoping that what he said about getting billions of philanthropy for global health through contacts that he had might emerge. When it looked like that wasn't a real thing, that relationship ended.
Oh, that relationship ended. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So how many times did he go to the island? I can't remember.
I have no idea. It doesn't matter. Oh, well, it matters, of course, but I have no idea.
It matters.
Of course it matters. Yeah, I was about to.
Maybe one of our viewers knows the answer to that question. I think it was several times.
Yeah, well, there's those flight logs that I think how many people have died protecting those flight logs because people had to whack them. And they're letting that gal, Giselle, whatever her name is, live. I don't imagine she'll be around much longer. Oops, she hung herself too. Hey, 20 for 20. They are all hanging themselves. That's because that's so common, Jen.
I know.
People normally hang themselves. That's
the same way, apparently.
Yeah, they normally hang. That's the norm out there in the world. Got nothing to do, hang yourself. And now this, I like the caption. Oops, he's back to lying his ass off. And then the caption on the next one is just too funny. Will the real Dr. Evil please stand up or something?
Do you have regrets?
Well, certainly I think everyone does. But it's a time of reflection and at this point I need to go forward.
Watch where he smiles.
He is so stumbling over his words.
Right. And then you watch where he finally starts to smile when he thinks about externalizing his fixed trip to continue with the purpose that he thinks he cares about and stimulates the rest of the world with all of that. That's his purpose. That unexpected is here to unexpectedly stimulate things and share that. Unexpectedly believe, unexpectedly find yourself in a place where it is unexpected. And so at the very end, he started talking about, but I got to move on, and he's back into what he really wants to do, his fixed trip. He had a hard time answering, do you have any regrets about any of that? And about any of what went on earlier in your life and between you and your wife that are now broken up. And sacral doesn't say there. That's his mind with all those busy gates in his throat, thinking he's supposed to externalize something his mind tells him from the pressure above that thinks about things that don't matter and doesn't know what to think about. He doesn't know what to think, yet he speaks as if he does. So the last clip, he's totally fully off the rails here. You can see where his joy is. The joy of this man is so corrupted that watch where it is. You'll show up at the end of the clip. It's rather awful.
You're wrapped up in, me too, are wrapped up in misinformation.
Well, every day, hopefully we're thinking, as creative as we can, listening to the unvaccinated explain, okay, what is their hesitation, and seeing, who would they trust? What would change their mind in order to help them take that step?
Who will they trust? How can I influence them? The word influence is written over everything Bill does. All he wants to do is find the things that he cares to influence based on how he was raised. It's a mess. Bill's a mess.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, and that wasn't the last clip. So he's starting to really go off the rails here because he's like, just how can we influence people to trust us? So what's going to influence them how to trust us? The lying ass trickster. That's what's going to try and influence it. Gate 26, that's just going to lie and manipulate memory. So how can we influence them? Well, let's tell them that it's jelly beans and they taste good.
But isn't this a representation of like the Gate 55 that we've been talking about?
All of it is a gate, is a representation. All roads in one way lead to the spirit of humanity. We all know it. It's what's waking up in us right now. It doesn't matter if you have that gate. It doesn't matter if you have that center defined. We all live with the 55 spirit of humanity. It's waking up. We're trying to find out what does it mean to be emotionally aware, to be us in communion with the other. And we haven't found that out yet. And Bill Gates hasn't found that out one stinking little bit, because I think this is the last clip. And I captioned it with, will the real Dr. Evil please stand up, or something like that, because you can see it. I think this is the last clip.
Obviously, corporations increasingly are saying you have to be vaccinated in order to work at a corporation. Is that something you support? And do you think the federal government or state governments, or the very least federal government, should mandate if you want to get on an airplane, you have to be vaccinated? If you want to get Social Security, you need to be vaccinated. If you want to get whatever benefits they give, you need to be vaccinated for. Is that something that the U.S. can and should do?
Well, certainly, if you take...
certainly, if I say some stuff in an order that sounds smart, the people will believe it for a while until I say something else. Yeah. If you can roll back about 10 seconds, you'll see as soon as Anderson Cooper starts to refer to the control of the other, remember, influence, fixed influence to lead them. As soon as he starts referring to that whole talking about Social Security and employers mandating people, as soon as and when he gets to Social Security and take it away, you can see him. He's holding it back. He starts with a smile on his face, and then suddenly he just laughs uncontrollably.
Yes.
And that's obviously corporations increasingly are saying you have to be vaccinated in order to work at a corporation. Is that something you support? And do you think the federal government or state governments, or the very least federal government, should mandate if you want to get on an airplane, you have to be vaccinated? If you want to get Social Security, you need to be vaccinated. If you want to get whatever benefits they give, you need to be vaccinated for. Is that something that the U.S. can and should do?
Well, certainly, if you take...
I didn't bother with any more of it because it was just like the last couple. Well, and it just, that's not his sacral responding. Do you think this is government should mandate, and when mandate Social Security people, if they don't get the shot, they'll be taken off their benefits? And he started smiling at that, and he couldn't help it. I wish you could back up like 8 seconds only just to live that moment out again. Here, Dr. Evil just smiles. Go ahead.
Be vaccinated if you want to get whatever benefits they give.
He laughs.
You need to be vaccinated for. Is that something that the U.S. can and should do?
Well, certainly, if you take...
And just, I mean, you know, they picked the right super arch villain in Anderson Cooper with the... I think they make him wear those glasses. I don't think he likes those glasses. They make him wear those to give him that authoritarian, evil unibrow thing. They're conditioning us to see that as proper authority. I mean, he looks like a cartoon figure. And so they're asking that very serious question, and he keeps his Dr. Smirk face. I think you should. You want to take people off Social Security? That's Anderson Cooper. And Bill Gates is so tickled pink at that because, that'll make my exciting plan influence the whole planet. And suddenly, all the things that give me purpose that I feel so I care so much about I'll be able to have them get done. Oh, yay. Oh, I can be influential. Oh, this is so good. That's Bill.
And he laughed at that. He smiled and laughed.
Here, the real Dr. Evil simply smiles. That's the caption.
And we have two people on the screen right now that both those men right there were conditioned from family, big time.
Yeah, you and I were, Jen. No one got out alive.
Oh, yes.
Everyone is. But when you get up into these upper echelons, the conditioning gets more and more draconian, and it turns into this incredible amount of hierarchy and fear. And go back to Bill Gates's chart. And we'll just finish here. We'll go full screen in a second, but just look at all of the fear. The spleen is loaded down with fears. In fact, the 3 awareness centers we have are where our natural fears are. We're going to go over this on Sunday, the gates of fear, and why we're not actually afraid of them, and how they consume our life. So the mind has a frequency called over all of time. Mind gets a hold of it, it hangs on to it all through all of time. The spleen gets a hold of it, it hangs on to it for a second. That's it. You know how spleen works, Jen. You've had it. Turn left, turn right, jump, run, speak, stop. It's very quick. And so the spleen doesn't the spleen doesn't hold on to fears. It delivers fear. Fear drives intelligence. Fear drives awareness. I'm afraid we're going to starve. Let's sharpen sticks. As the old cavemen, I keep using sharpening sticks because it's a great example, because before they sharpened sticks, the sticks weren't sharpened.
Well, I'm a firm believer that right now, the reason that we're not seeing a big shift in humanity, especially with stuff that's going on that you're exposing right now, all it takes is everybody standing up from the table. But that fear hasn't driven them to do something.
Now, Bill's putting that fear in us. Whether he knows it or not, he's sticking that, don't we stick our design into the others. So the not self of Bill Gates is sticking all that fear in us, the fear of failure, the fear of not finding your purpose and having the emptiness in your life that you just die purposeless, the fear of taking on too much responsibility. His fear of taking on too much responsibility is come up with a solution, a creative, colorful, curious solution that unconsciously is telling Bill, well, let's wipe out half the planet so I don't have to be afraid of having too much responsibility. It's wicked stuff. And then 57 is the fear of tomorrow. I'm afraid of tomorrow, so I better be afraid of all too much responsibility because tomorrow won't look so good. A fear of the future, fear of what might happen 2 seconds from now. That's the spleen just telling the gazelle on the open prairie to run. And when it's done running, the fear's gone. That's all. That's how it's supposed to work. We don't let it work that way. And then 48 is this deep fear of inadequacy. I have to keep proving myself. Open ego. I better lie and prove myself because I'm terribly inadequate. So I'm just going to say anything so I don't appear to be inadequate. I'm afraid of being inadequate with my depth, and I don't have enough depth. So I have to pretend I have talent because I don't have gate 16, but I want it more than anything. So if a nice lady came along with a defined solar plex center and a gate 20 and a gate 16, Bill would fall in love all over again. If he ever fell in love in the first place, I don't even know. Who knows? So in conclusion, Bill Gates is lost. He's absolutely lost into all the things that he is not, and he doesn't even know it. And he's got moments of awareness that help him feel okay about himself. And that's it. And other than that, Bill Gates is, he's a snake oil salesman, fixed in his nature, wanting to be influential, trying to be influential so that he can lead a whole population, coming up with a trial and error mental process that literally is so curious, it'll try and stimulate any idea into the world, with a not self gate 26 that's willing to lie its ass off and be a little trickster about anything when it's really just supposed to be here to preserve the material value of the tribe so that the babies can live. And this channel of preservation that has nothing more beautiful about it than it's just here to preserve children. And Bill Gates has managed to turn all of that into the feeling of inadequacy, so afraid about tomorrow and so afraid of failure that in order to fulfill his purpose, he'll gladly wipe out half a planet so that he doesn't have to fear his taking on too much responsibility while he seeks direction and love, trying to prove he's worth something under pressure to get thoughts out. This is Bill Gates, and it's a hot mess, is what it is. So we need to open up a can of whoop-ass. Let's open up a can of Bill Be Gone. We need some Bill Be Gone. That's
I love how you say that.
yeah. That's how I would close out my analysis of Bill Gates.
Well, I think you did a fantastic job on it, Dan. I mean, like, you really hit him for what we see.
Well, he has a chart, so it wasn't that hard to do this time.
Nope, you're excellent at it. And for those of you who have not already had a session with Dan, you really need to do that. And you can find the links down below how to get a hold of him. We do it by a suggested donation. It is an honest energy exchange. And from seeing Dan behind the scenes and all the work that he does, he puts in a lot of energy for you guys. It's not like he really wants you to get it. So I love that's when I talk to people about you, Dan, all I hear is about how passionate you are. And I definitely have to say that. 2 hours. People get 2 hours. Minimum. That's minimal. You.
Yeah.
We've had to know. Yeah, the donation on there is necessary because
you need to make a donation, guys. I mean, I have my own money. It's true, but you need to make a donation because I don't have, Bill, if you're listening, endow this and I'll come save you. We'll come save you. Hey, maybe the Grinch's heart will grow 3 sizes.
You may not be able to save him from Gitmo.
Well, whatever. There's more ethereal savings that need to go on beyond Gitmo.
Ethereal savings. I can agree with that.
Yep. And Jennifer, I would like to make a pitch to anyone who wants to join the team. So I've been reading like the wind, as anyone will say, and as these exit interviews keep coming in, keep watching them. You'll notice there's common themes that run through them. If you want this for yourself, I'll read for you. You're not going to have to pay me an arm and a leg because normally the service I offer would be worth thousands of dollars, period. End of story. But I just need donations as to whatever you can afford. And if it's not much, don't sweat it. But in return, we need a few volunteers. I need a volunteer who's creative with clipping up our clips and turning them into short things. We need a volunteer who's creative with making reels out of the stuff we've already got. Make some reels, put some music behind us. If you're a TikToker and you're good at ripping stuff out fast, come let me read for you. We'll let you join the team. You'll come on the show and you'll do some honest work in exchange for all of this stuff. And then you'll wake up out of your sleep, by the way, and you'll become who you are and start making the money you need to make. That's how it works.
Absolutely. And we are looking for somebody that's a night owl too.
Yep.
I will add that.
Yep,
Dan keeps late hours. It would be nice to have an assistant for him later in the evenings. If that's something that interests you, please reach out. You can use links down below. I help with organizing all the volunteers, so definitely let us know if you're interested in that.
We have several volunteers and it's growing, and the thing is, join the team, guys, and join not because you're going to get money, because you're not. I'm not going to pay you a dime. What you're going to get, period. What you're going to get is you're going to get the satisfaction of having been called into something that's going to fulfill you and lead to the purpose that you want. All right, and then the money comes later. So
I gotta rephrase that on that because I like the clip that we played last week about its energy. And everyone has this program around money. And the only thing money is it puts a dollar amount on your energy. And your energy, Dan, is priceless. So it's not about the money. It's about the energy, and it's about stepping into a greater role, and it's about helping wake up humanity. Dan, just on this show, revealed how it can be dangerous to let certain people in power. And at the end of the day, I had this conversation with my little sister. Nobody who's watching this can blame the people that are doing this to us. It is us because we allow it to happen. And those who want to serve a greater mission come on board. We are.
Yeah, we're gonna smash the machine. Get your ass aboard, man. All hands on freaking deck.
That's what we're here for. It is a conspiracy to awaken. It starts with you as the individual, and then it trickles down from there. So even though he said he's not paying you a single dime, I have to call bullshit on that.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah, you're right.
It's not money. It's not about money. We want to break that program as well. It's about the honest energy exchange.
Thanks.
And if you want to serve a greater mission, that's exactly what we're doing here at Human Design Advantage. So with that said, awesome show. Please make sure to like and subscribe and follow the channel. One of the ways that we do help monetize here is through one of my businesses and Dan's too. So I'm going to play a short clip at the very end.
I'm a mortgage broker. We get mortgage loans done.
Yes, we've got mortgage loan travel. And then also we have Rise University, where we also help you integrate this information after you awaken so that you can really start living authentically in your design. Just like Dan said, that's where the money comes. So, and that is when you get divine compensation, like I like to call it. So with that said, guys, we're going to chop it off.
Yep.
Y'all have a wonderful evening. Like, subscribe, and share this with somebody you think would find interesting.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.